تمام. طيب. بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining tonight's webinar titled Venture Capital and Angel Investments in Saudi Ecosystem. My name is Bassam Al-Awjan. I'm the president of INSEAD Alumni Association in Saudi Arabia. On behalf of the association and behalf of all of you, I would like to thank our distinguished speakers, Faris Al-Rashid, Omar Al-Majdoui, and also would like to thank my dear friend and colleague, Tahir Gayas. Tahir is a member of the executive committee of the INSEAD Alumni Association in Saudi Arabia. He is executive MBA graduate in 2009. And with that, let's start. The floor is yours, Tahir.
Thank you, Bassam. Thank you again for Omar and Faris, two of the most prominent active stakeholders and participants in the venture capital ecosystem in Saudi Arabia. Faris is the pioneer in his field and very early investor in many companies, and he created and chairing the Mawqal Association of Angel Investors. Omar is a founding partner and CEO currently of Ra'ed Ventures as well, Saudi venture firm, and leading many other activities. So our agenda for the day will be we'll give the chance to Faris and Omar to introduce a bit more themselves, then an introduction about VC in general, also an introduction about the angel investments, and then we'll go to the local ecosystem in Saudi and the role of VC and angel investment in the economy and in the startup ecosystem. And then we will ask them about how can the Saudis and the residents in Saudi Arabia be involved in this ecosystem to like in other countries, especially the US, which is the most advanced, I would say. Again, thank you very much, Omar and Faris. So we'll start maybe with a quick introduction from Faris and then Omar.
Thank you, Tahir. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين. First of all, would like to thank all of you, Executive Committee for INSEAD and Mr. Bassam Al-Awjan. And also it's my pleasure to be again with my friend Omar Al-Majdoui to be in the same panel. This is maybe the 6th or the 5th panel that we always be together. So happy to be with you, Abu Ali, all the time. Quick introduction. My name is Faris Al-Rashid. I graduated from King Saud University 1994. And at that time, 1994, with the computer science, it was very easy to find a job, but it wasn't very good timing for entrepreneur to start a tech company at that time. I was also after the graduation, I worked as a teacher in a college of education, technology college. Then I find myself is not in the teaching world. After that, I joined the private sector as a manager in education company and also in the software company. And from 2007, I started my investment career. We started Uqal in 2011. And last year, I started my first VC fund, Diraya Venture Capital. So that's Paris.
Great. Abu Ali?
Ahlan wa sahlan, Tahir. Thank you so much, Tahir. Thank you, Abdullah. Thank you, Bassam. Thank you, everybody. And thanks for the attendance to come and to listen to our boring discussion today. But Allah yinkum, inshallah. And thank you, Abu Abdullah. Abdullah is a dear friend, and I'm always honored to be part of any panel with this guy. He's, as you mentioned, he's the pioneer of venture capital, or let's say of the startup investments in Saudi Arabia. So Allah yawfiq wa ya'ti al-afiyah. And number is, how did I start? So 15 years I stayed in the corporate, the family business, moving from position to position. The last position was CEO of Al-Majdoui Manufacturing. It's far away from technology, far away from innovation. It was very, very conventional and boring business. And also, all of my career, alhamdulillah, I did a very good job here and there. But at the same time, maybe I didn't really find myself in any of the businesses that I held before. So in 2014 and 15, I started to discover the angel investments as a person, as a single person. And with time, the family decided to, or let's say, curious what I was doing. So when they saw that it was all technology investments, then they decided to form a fund, or let's say to give me money to invest it on behalf of them. And at that point, I started to learn about VC, which was actually mid of 2015. So luckily, I had a very good advisor at that point to help me form the first internal VC, and we established the first one at about $12.5 million, targeting only seed and early stage startups in Middle East, North Africa. Initially, we targeted about 30 startups. We ended up investing in about 22. All of them are in Saudi Arabia, UAE, and Egypt, and one of them in Jordan, and one of them in Bahrain. This is our accomplishment in the first fund. Alhamdulillah, we are very blessed of a great portfolio in Fund 1. The Fund 1 is growing very fast, accumulating great value, and also generating, or inshallah soon will be generating great return to the investor. So Fund 1, we are done. We decided in 2019 to start the Fund 2. The Fund 2 initially targeted $70 million of raising. We decided not to rely only on the family money, but to also to include institutional investors. Alhamdulillah, today we are at about $125 million of raised money. And we are also doubling down on the region, so Middle East, North African early stage startups. But now we are taking a bigger portion of these companies rather than instead of smaller portions in the first fund. And so far we invested in 5 companies. We started the Fund 2 on February 2020, and we invested in 5 companies. And we will continue our journey until we invest in about 20 to 25 companies in the next 4 to 5 years.
Great, thank you very much. Now let's continue with you, if you don't mind, Omar. So if we can just give a quick introduction about venture capital in general to people who are not very familiar with the subject, and angel investment at the same time. So we want to raise, one of the objectives of the session is to raise the awareness about the importance of these two capital investment means, I would say, to increase the startup sources of funds, and to make the startups ecosystem more dynamic, and to attract both more people to be entrepreneurs, and also thanks to the success stories of these, more investors can be interested in investing in these startups. So very briefly, before we go into the situation in Saudi Arabia, so if you can.
Sure. So I will leave the angel investments to Abu Abdullah Faris, but I will talk briefly about the venture capital. So the venture capital is the institutional money, institutional. It's not really a personal money. It comes in a form of fund or a company, and usually it invests in startups. Startups here, whenever we say venture capital, usually we mean here technology startups. We don't really include other form of investments in the venture capital, let's say, phrase. Now, there are some people use it for other reasons, but actually, if you go to the norm, global norm, it's about software technology. It's not really even about other form of investments. But it includes also some other sorts in some cases. And number two, the main goal of these investments are coming into three main intentions. So with the first intention is financial. So I invest to just maximize my financial returns. So this is number one intention. Number two intention is strategic. I invest to not necessarily gaining financial money from that particular investment, but actually to gain compounded return to my core business. So it's not really aimed to be financial by itself, but financial through integration with the main business. Yeah, integration and the synergies and creating synergies. Number three is impact. So we see also many of the endowments, global endowments, and also global foundations are investing heavily in VC because of the nature of this asset class. This asset class by nature, if it's successful in financial, it's most likely successful also in impact. So the more, or let's say the more successful funds, the more successful also when it comes to return to the society. We see it a lot in many examples. We can talk about it inshallah down the road, but we see it in many examples. So the closest example that also generated great amount of money at the same time, also great amount of impact is Careem. So Careem, for example, generated about $3.2 billion of returns to its investors. At the same time, hired millions of people in a part-time or full-time sometimes to generate or to increase their returns through using the platform. This is one small example of the impact investments.
Okay, thank you.
Do you want? Yeah. So maybe this is a summary. This is a summary for venture capital. The angel investments maybe was about.
Okay. Abdullah.
Thank you. طبعا angel investor is an individual, not institutional. That's the difference between VC and angel. So he's an individual who invests his money. The decision of investment is his, and the strategy is also the sector that he wants to invest, and also his experience and where then he can invest in this startup. Normally, angel investors, they invest because they want to give back. Normally, he was an entrepreneur or he was a CEO of a companies, and now he wants to give back and also to help these crazy, let's say, or entrepreneurs who wants to solve the big problem. They need someone to help them at the beginning, especially angel investors. They come in the difficult time for the company, which is in the early stage. So the angel investor always invest in the seed, pre-seed and seed stage. And normally this time the entrepreneur needs the angel to help him in the business plan, business model, networking, and also to help him sometimes with even some of the operation. So angel investor, sometimes you need to be a full-time to do an angel investment if you are really focused and doing this. And we can see now after the angel investment group, if you want me also to talk about the business angel network and groups.
Yeah, we'll come to that in the next part, yeah, about the Saudi ecosystem and situation now. Yes, thank you very much, Faris. So just a quick reminder for the attendees. So you can, if you have any questions, you can use the Q&A button of the Zoom session. We will park all the questions and we will try to answer as much as possible at the end of this discussion and presentation. Yeah, that's it. Now, yes, so we can go to the venture capital and angel investments in Saudi Arabia. So what is the current situation? Is the ecosystem mature enough? Is it visible enough to people? What are any problems, if there are, and how to solve them, basically, and what would be the future state or the ideal state in order to, again, help entrepreneurs to grow their ideas and to have the impact on the economy in general. So it should be a win-win situation between the entrepreneur and the investor, of course. So what is the current situation? If we can start with you, Faris, and then we have Omar to complement. So
yeah, so let's start with Uqal. يعني when we started 2010, 2011, the ecosystem wasn't يعني mature يعني yet, and I remember يعني convincing people to come to the network. It wasn't easy because people, they don't know what we are meaning by angel investment,
yes,
and why we are investing and why we are coming together, and also, you know, the name of angel and our culture and religion. So the idea of bringing them together was and the name of Uqal is Uqul and Amwal. If you bring the first two letters and the last two letters, it's Uqal, which is our traditional dress. And also,
good to know.
Normally, when you want to invest, said عقلها وتوكل. You need العقال all the time. That's the idea of bringing investor and entrepreneur to be together in one platform. So this is the idea of having the angel network group together. So they can invest. They can have the same, they have the same pipeline, rather than going everyone, especially the entrepreneur. It's make it easy for him to go and pitch in front of angels rather than going one by one. And also it's good for the entrepreneur to get the feedback from these professional angel investors. And if I give you numbers, when we started 2011 until now, we have, I think, more than 5,000 startup company. We had 125 event or demo day, let's call it demo day, with more than 350 companies or startup also. We invested more than 70 companies with more than 60 million riyal. This is all done with under of Uqal, which is non-profit organization. And also the money, most of the money is from the angel individual putting their money to give back to the community and also to help the entrepreneur. That was the history. But if we take what's happening today, it's very different than especially the last two years. Today, from 2011 until yesterday, until last year, only one angel group. Today we have 4, I think, or 5. Riyadh, Najd, Women, Spark, and which is good. The ecosystem started to. I'm talking only about the angel group. So if we see what happens, this is good. The other thing is the ecosystem is started to. You can see the growth of and the mature of the ecosystem, especially after we have Munshaat and SVC. With 200.8 billion riyal, with 2.8 billion riyal. Dr. Nabil is heading this company. And I think this is very good for both Angel Group and also for VC. Today, the matching program with the Angel Investment Group, with us and other groups, they are doing a matching program for any investor who wants to invest. He can invest, let's say, 1 million, and SVC will match it with 1 million. And the return of the investment from the 1 million from SVC goes 80% of the profit to the angel investor, 20% and capital to the SVC. So this is a very good program for both the entrepreneur and also for the angel investor to help them and support them to invest. And we can see, in Uqal, let's say, the last 2 years, we invested more than 27 investment. I told you, in all of the 10 years, almost 70, but in the last 2 years, 27. So this is giving you that the angel investor is also more, we're getting more angel investor, and also we're getting more deals, and very good deal actually, comparing to what we have 10 years ago. And also the VC, today, how many VCs we have? I am one of the angel who started the VC because I saw the opportunity. I saw that a lot of people asking for what is this venture capital and how can we invest? And so I decided to start my fund last year. And alhamdulillah, we fundraised 115. We invested in 8 companies. And we are also having a very good deals. We are investing also with Raed, with Abu Ali, some of the companies that we are investing together. So this is one of the things, one of the good thing in Angel Group and also in VC, that we are collaborating and working together. We are investing in Syndicate and Angel Investor Group, and also we are investing together and when we go to a VC round.
Oh, good. So to summarize, so the ecosystem is growing. There are more and more people aware of the angel investment, and more groups are being created. So now there are 4 or 5. From if we ask now the second part of the question to Omar, from legal framework, do we have all the right laws in place to be able to invest either individually or as a syndicates? Can you tell us more about that? I don't know if you have the answer, or Faris.
Anyone from CMA here? Before I start talking.
No, please. I mean, the idea.
Please raise your hand if you are from CMA. So let's talk frankly here. The global investors in VC, the vast majority of them are not regional. The mass majority are international. And even if we are saying that yes, there are plenty of money that is poured in VC money here in the region, still the most significant and impactful money are coming from outside, not from inside. So whenever we say that there is 5 million from someone who is very experienced LP or limited partner in VC, and 10 million from someone who just put money, no, I will pick the 5 million instead of the 10. So here the value of money is very crucial. And how to accommodate this valuable money? There are some vehicles, global vehicles, that we can accommodate them. We can't really accommodate them anywhere. So even if we formed the best fund with the best structure and the best terms, and went to one of those reputable investors and tried to convert them to our fund, they will 99% they will reject, and they will ask for one of the jurisdictions that they used to invest in for legal risk. And just to also highlight something here, that investors usually take all sorts of risks, except of maybe 2 or 3: legal, political, and sometimes in our business founder risk. We don't take all of these 3 risks. We don't go in political things. We don't go on legal things and legal risks. We don't go in political exposed issues. So these are the things that no one in the globally will invest in, and this is why some of the managers in the region and in Saudi Arabia choose to go to Cayman and Delaware and some other jurisdictions that are more, let's say, friendly to FDIs than the CMA. And some picked CMA, like Faris in Diriyah, because of the vast majority of his investors are from Saudi Arabia. So that is a very, very mindful also step. So it depends on from where your majority investors are coming from. If they are global, or FDIs, or very sophisticated with very specific terms that they're looking for, and arbitration sensitive, they want a place here or there, then definitely one of the main hubs, investors hubs, will be the one that to accommodate this. So it depends on the investor itself, or himself or herself.
سمنا في دقيقة أنا أبو علي.
Yeah, ما شاء الله عليكم. يعني this is good. This is good. You started something with some gaps here and there in the investment terms, but I think from our side and from your side, we can inshallah bring CMA to the global level inshallah very soon.
But also I will add to this, I think with the company law, the new company law, I think it will make it easier. And what I understand from their comments, they get more than 1,000 comments on the new law, which is giving you this an idea that people are caring about the convertible note and what's the new law of the company. It will help the stock option, ESOP of the employees, founders. Before it wasn't easier for us to invest in a company with a company law, with the Saudi company law. We have to go to ADGM or Cayman. But I think in the coming years, inshallah, when we have these laws, and you never know, maybe we'll have a free zone with English law, Abu Ali, then it's already solved.
So let's for example highlight something here. What really concerns most of the FDIs to invest in onshores? It's not really terms only. So terms are technical things. So I can for example tomorrow the ministry will add these terms and that's it, or let's say we'll add this structure of companies and that's it. This is maybe the easiest part. The hardest part is to have arbitration precedent.
Yeah.
Investors usually they want to see precedent in the arbitration to make sure that whenever there is a case that they already, and because they're experienced, they know what this jurisdiction will say and what the jurisdiction will say in this particular case. And this is where I think the precedent in Saudi Arabia is still nascent. And even if we start tomorrow English law, it will be very hard to convert FDIs from day one. It will take us years, and we need to be patient. We need to be patient 100 times, because we can't really attract money by forcing them. We should attract money by pulling them. and precedent here can be accumulated faster if we really can hire global firms in arbitration that really can bring the precedent faster, that can hit the gap faster. Number two is tax, and this is something also sovereign. We can't also say that to Saudi Arabia, no, leave tax and don't take it from people. This is sovereign, and nobody can say anything to that, to what Saudi Arabia or any other country is asking for. But the point here is that, unfortunately, investors have options, and whenever they have options, they have leverage over your jurisdiction. And this is where I think also we need to think about when it comes to building the new jurisdiction, either offshore or onshore. Now, for example, there are some very good examples of onshore, like Dutch regime or Dutch legal formation. Dutch is very interesting because they have this tax treaties and tax agreements everywhere in the world that can make the investors happier with Dutch, like Uber, for example. Uber Europe is BV. Uber is Dutch company. So, and also same thing to Ireland. So both jurisdictions are very friendly, even though I think they are. I'm not sure about Ireland, but I'm sure about the Dutch that it's onshore, it's not offshore. At the same time, it's attractive to foreign investors. So we can talk about many options for Saudi Arabia to think about, or for our jurisdiction, the new jurisdiction, to think about when it comes to attracting FDIs. However, it's not really an easy thing. It should be patient, and it should be sure that this is the way, not changing from time to time, and being very hesitant about taking a longer or patient step in this regard. So tax and arbitration are the two major points that need to be done fast and need to be also be patient when it comes to implementation.
Yeah. And if we understand well from Faris, so this is work in progress, right? So the new company law is work in progress, and we might see it finalized within 2 years, you said, or how soon can this happen, do you think?
Well, I think the new, you know, the new government is not like before.
Yeah, of course.
It takes 10 years, but I think with what's happening today, maybe we can see it next year.
Inshallah. Okay, great.
Yeah.
طيب, now, if I am a Saudi here or a resident in Saudi Arabia, and I want to start investing in these high risk and high return asset class, let's say, how can I do it from an investor point of view? And then we'll ask about the entrepreneur point of view, where to go to find investors. So if you can start with you, Faris, please.
If you are an individual, go to Uqal, of course.
Okay. Okay.
I think
okay.
if you are an investor, if you have an experience and you have the time.
No, assuming we don't have experience, so I'm assuming many of the attendees today are senior enough in their careers. They might be interested to start investing as an angel investment, and they don't have the experience. So the best is to join an angel investor group or club, right?
I think that's what I said. If you have the experience and you have the time and you have the risk, then
and willing to take the risk, of course.
Come to Uqal to be one of the angel investors. But if you don't have these three, I prefer that you go and put your money in one of the VCs we have in Saudi Arabia and also in the region, managed by professionals, and they are also investing in the region. If you want to put your money in the region, these companies, these VCs are investing in this, and they are regulated from CMA, especially with venture capital. يعني you are putting your money for 10 years. You need a long-term relationship with the VC. So you need, I think, so that's it. If you have the time, then go to the angel investor group. If you don't, then put your money in a VC fund.
Okay. Omar, anything more to add on this?
Yeah, I think any investor in this asset class need to put in mind two things. First, the risk factor of these investments, and two, the long-term returns that this investments also naturally or organically have. So the point here is that whenever you know those two things, then you need to think a portfolio way, not investment here and there, like very random. So it should be in a portfolio mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you are individual and you think that this company is very exciting, and I have, for example, 1 million riyals or maybe 500,000 riyals in my pocket to invest in this asset class, and I think that this company is very exciting, maybe the most exciting company in the world, most likely this is not the case. Most likely this company will fail. This is 90% or 95% of cases. So if you put this in mind, then you need to break down this $500,000 into, for example, 10 pieces, invest in 550 in each exciting company that you think will be the winner. And hopefully one of them will be let's say the fund maker, or let's say your fund maker, definitely.
Yeah.
Fund maker means that it will return back $500,000 and will return back the return above that. So this is the mindset of investing in our asset class. You can't really invest in one or two and go and relax. And this is also the number two nature of this asset class. You can't relax if you invest. You need to work, and you need to work hard. It's a cooperative work. It's something that the founders will need. And the better the value of the money, the better the returns of the asset. So you can't, if you have value, and this value is not delivered to your investment, then definitely this also will be reflected in the return of that investment. So there is a study of one of the very, very good venture capitalists in Silicon Valley. I forgot his name. He mentioned that those angels who visit their portfolio in a monthly basis increase their chances of success by 30%. So 30% is significant. And if you really be active investor and visit them, supporting them, not controlling and auditing them. It's not really about audit or control. It's about support, and it's about trust between the investor and the founders. Then this is how really makes things successful. The very, very important thing I mentioned very quickly, which is trust. I think this asset class is one of the main pillars of this asset class is trust. And trust doesn't mean that I will throw my money and leave it without auditing. But it means that before I invest, I will thoroughly know the founders and make sure that I can live with them and I can trust them, and then I invest. But not really trying to invest, and after that you start creating, let's say, not comfortable situations between you and the founders, because you don't trust them, or you don't trust their way of managing your money. That will be a killing to your investment. So this is in general what I think about creating portfolio of the money. طبعا, in addition to that, as Mr. Faris mentioned, is it's highly recommended. It's not because I have fund or Abu Faris have fund, but it's highly recommended that when a person or an institution start to invest, they should go and invest with an experienced manager. That will hedge a lot of learning curve that's not needed really to risk your money. That will also provide a lot of information, a lot of valuable information for the investor to really take it in the next level when he or she will start to invest directly. So I prefer for individuals and for institutions to start even with very small amount of money, to start with managers and also to interact with the portfolio that those managers are investing, to make sure that they understand the way of due diligence, the way of assessment, and the way of creating a portfolio.
Okay, thank you.
And also I will add to Abu Ali about maybe some of the audience, they need to know about when you want to be an angel investor, at least you need to have 10 companies in your portfolio. Yes, Abu Ali, he said if you put, it's like you are putting all your egg in
the same basket.
It's the same. So you have to
diversify
companies. And that's why in an angel network group, normally we have a syndicate. So an SPV with 3 or 4 angel investors investing in one company. So I can invest with this syndicate, and also I can be investing in other companies directly. And so when you count how many companies you have, you have 10 companies. You never know which one will make 10 or 100x in the coming years, and the others will lose. Same thing with venture capital, that when you put 20, do you have the time to follow these companies? Do you have the team to follow them? And I agree with Abu Ali, or the quote that he said, that you need to visit your portfolio every month. Some of the company, I have them in my office. I visit them every day.
Okay, great. Now, you mentioned creating.
This is too much, Abu Faris. Now we are co-founder of them. Now.
He's incubating them.
Sometimes with the startup as an angel, you need to do it, especially when it's VC.
Okay, so yes, so you mentioned Faris about the SPV. How easy is it to create, or is it possible to create SPVs in the Saudi's current legal framework to invest jointly with other people?
I don't recommend it at this time.
Okay.
But it is easier to do it outside.
Outside. Okay.
BPI, so ADGM, and any others.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Great. Now, for personally, I see the people who are interested in investing in this asset class, in more broadly the private equity, not the listed equity. They should start with angel investment as a first step. Then once they get more experience, maybe they go to higher tickets in VCs, right? So usually the ticket size is less in angel investment stage, right? So the question would be, how many VC funds are available in Saudi Arabia for people that are interested in this asset class, and how to find them? And is there any studies benchmarking them, or anything that will help the individual investors to become what we call LPs, right, limited partners in VCs? Maybe we start with Omar this time.
So just sorry if I maybe missed the question, but do you mean here that a person who wants to become a VC manager, or he wants to find startups?
To invest in a VC, to become an LP in a VC, limited partner. How many VC funds are there in Saudi Arabia? How the investor can know what is available, basically, to invest in? And is there any studies or research done by groups or something to compare, to benchmark the available options for investors?
So there is a Saudi Venture Capital Association who is generating already reports about the activity of VC in Saudi Arabia. I recommend for anyone to visit their website and download the reports. I think so far they have 3 reports for the last 3 quarters. So it's very, very rich and valuable reports. A lot of information, rich of information about the investments, about the managers who invested, Saudi managers, local managers, regional managers, international managers, all sorts of managers who already invested in Saudi ecosystem are there. So it's good to look at the website.
SVC
Number two,
website.
there is, yeah, so Saudi Venture Capital and Private Equity Association. This is the name of the association. I think it's very, very rich and very important for anyone who wants to start his career. Number two is the Jawla. So Jawla is a website, or let's say it's an initiative from some of the ecosystem players. Initiated this to also create a database for the activity and for the startups and investors and ecosystem players in Saudi Arabia. Jawla is rich of information also. Maybe it's good also to refer back to its information and get more about the venture capital from there. Number three is Magnet. So Magnet is also a rich database of the activity in the region. I think it's good for any LP to start talking to the fund of funds in the region, to talk about to learn from them how do they invest. I think it's very healthy for them to go to a Saudi Venture Capital Association, try to reach to Dr. Nabil Koshak and try to sit with him and get his advice on how to invest and how to assess managers. Same thing, anyone who wants to invest can go to Jeddah Fund of Funds, which is the PIF. Also reach out to Adil Atiq or Mazen Al-Jubair or any of the team there to also understand more about how to assess funds and how to also do diligence to them. There are some other fund of funds in the region like Mubadala in Abu Dhabi, also very, very good and very sophisticated investors. They are critical when it comes to investing. And same thing also for Waha Fund of Funds in Bahrain. Same thing for IFC out of Dubai, which is the branch of the IFC, global IFC. All of those are very, very good investors in funds, and sitting with them will take you maybe half an hour to sit with one of them, but actually it will be very rich when it comes to selecting your next investment in a fund. And of course, we'll be more than happy to connect to any of those guys if anyone wants to connect.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, the last question or the agenda item before going to the Q&A was the minimum ticket size, both for angel investment and VC investment, as per your experience and knowledge. Maybe Faris can start with the angel part here in Uqal. So that people don't, many people think that the ticket size is so high that they can never start doing this. Although I think the reality is different, right? Abu Abdullah?
Thank you. Yes, it depends, but what we saw in Uqal, normally it's from $50,000 to $300,000. Yeah, so this is I saw some of the question asking about if I'm an entrepreneur, where I go. Normally when you are in the pre-seed or seed, you go to angel investment groups. Because you need let's say $500,000 or $300,000. This where you can get this amount of the angels. But when you want $2 million or $6 million, then you go to the early stage VC. Which is started. They start after 300 or 400,000. Their ticket size not less than this.
Okay. So this is you mean the ticket size from the entrepreneur point of view, what the money they need to raise, right?
No, this is the ticket size.
Ticket size for the investor.
To invest.
Okay.
The entrepreneur, if he needs, let's say $1 million and less, he goes to Angel Network Group. If he needs $1 million or $2 million more, he goes to the VCs.
Okay, all right. Right. The very last one, and I think it's a recent topic in the industry. Can you tell us more about the corporate VCs and their role in driving innovation in the corporate world? We hear a lot about this in the recent years, and many companies have either established their own VC funds or partnered with other companies to form what we call startup garage, to be able to see the innovation that the startups are bringing to their fields, etc. Do we see this in Saudi Arabia yet? And how important is that, you think, to drive innovation in general in the corporate world?
Yeah, I think if I start, I think corporate VC started with STC when they started their STC venture, 2000. I think 2011.
Okay.
I think they started STC venture. So it was started at that time, and when they invested in Careem, they start a new fund which is STV VC under the STC. And we see also other corporate that started to have their VC. Some of them they invest directly. Some of them they have a VC, and Umar, maybe he will talk about it more than me. He knows. Some of the family, they put the money in the VC and they invest. Some of the family, they invest directly. But this is very good for the ecosystem. And we hope that we see more of this, inshallah, in the future, because normally corporate VC is a strategic partner, not a normal VC, which takes only 10% or 15%.
Okay. Abu Ali, anything to add?
Yeah. So when we started in 2015, we started as a corporate VC. And in 2016, end of 2016, we decided to pivot and become pure financial. And I think the main reason here is because the nature of the corporate that we are talking about. Almost all of the corporates, and we can name just few in one hand, that really can understand technology and can understand growth as a startup. But other than that, most of the corporate family businesses in the region, and without really I don't really want to be aggressive in this, but most of them do not understand what technology and what startup means, and they are missing it from that side. So this is where I think becoming a corporate VC means becoming something that I can synergize with as an investor in a very seamless manner. When I see a startup in technology and in specific domain, and the corporate has the same domain, both can talk to each other seamlessly, and both can understand each other and with the same language, and both can synergize and create value for both. That is not really what's happening. And this is why I thought that maybe segregation of the corporate in 2016 is better for both sides. For the corporate to absorb the technology and to understand it, and to let's say have a healthy learning curve until they become competent enough to understand technology and growth. And from the other side, startups, because of their raw bones in the beginning, their bones may become bended easily. So it's better not to start from corporate side as long as the corporate is not really understanding the startup. What we saw several failure attempts of trying to synergize and integrate with strategic partners early on, and almost all of them failed. I don't remember one example of starting early stage. I'm not talking about late stage. But about early stage, when the company is half year or 1 year old, all of the attempts of synergizing with big corporates failed dramatically. And the startup either tried to pivot or tried to move away and start again from the long tail. This is where I don't recommend to start from corporate unless the corporate is Google or the corporate is Apple or Facebook someone who already understands startup, and originally they were startup in the origin. But there are some examples that we need to also raise here. So, for example, At-Tayyar صراحة, and his acquisition of Al-Musafir was very inspiring for me صراحة, and should be also for many corporates. And this is where I think examples like that should be praised and should be also highlighted. I'm sure that At-Tayyar or Sira, as known today, will tell you that this was a massive success to them, because they acquired it when it was generating about 60 million reals, and now it's about, or let's say last year is about 3 billion reals. So, and it's only in 3 or 4 years only. It's not really a long journey. So things like that should be also there. I think I see a lot of retailers, legacy retailers, need to really acquire, need to really find ways to digitize and to have very good teams, not their current teams of running the e-commerce and their online activities, because I think that is the way to be part of the new generation acquisition. So I think this is how the corporate VC should work. I think if the corporate or the business is not really into technology, then it's better not to start a corporate VC, because that will not really add value to them.
If I add, and Abu Ali, I think having a public company, especially a public company, acquiring a startup company, we will see this inshallah in the coming years, because most of, as Abu Ali said, most of the companies now, traditional companies, they understand that they cannot
innovate fast enough.
They have to acquire. And I can see today some of the banks now are planning to get into the fintech world.
Yeah.
Rather than starting their fintech, they acquire or do. So that's what I mean by when I said strategic partner, and I agree with Abu Ali. Strategic partner at the late stage is better, because the environment of the startup, the culture, you don't want to bring the company or the corporate culture to the startup. So the other good thing maybe we didn't talk about is Numu market. I think it's a very good exit, inshallah, for our investment, because before the exit was only acquiring by international company or. But today I think we have a good opportunity for Numu. The other thing which is also good for us as a fund manager is we can list our funds with the assets that we have in the fund. So all these things, we were dreaming of having something like this 10 years ago.
Great. Thank you very much for all these insightful answers. I think 1 hour has passed already. And it was very good to hear from you. Do you mind having 10 more minutes to go through the questions from the audience, or you have other commitments, Faris and Omar?
Yes, go ahead. For me, go ahead, no problem.
Okay, thanks. We have 10 interesting questions. We'll start with the question from Fadi, who would like to hear more about the shareholder agreement and the governance framework when we are investing in a seed stage startup. So what can you advise on that? Let's start with Faris maybe this time.
Yeah, I think in this stage, normally it's a convertible note. It's not an equity round. Yeah. So we use safe note, KISS note. Inshallah, قريبا we will have عقال note.
Okay, so there's no shareholder agreement at this stage. This is what you mean, right?
Yeah. Normally it's not. Yes.
Okay.
But with the big round, then it will be with the shareholders agreement.
Okay, and any particular points that the investor needs to be aware of or in the shareholder agreement. I mean, there are templates, of course, and even publicly we can find them on Google or other things. But what's the most, let's say, important points that the investor needs to consider before signing the shareholder agreement?
Okay, go ahead, Abu Ali.
Yeah, so it's very good to refer back to National VCA, the American Venture Capital Association. They have standards that have been developed throughout the last 40 years, or 30 years. This is very, very mature templates. I think that was one of the best templates that also we've used when it comes to drafting our shareholder agreements. Of course, it gives you also some sort of options, but at least it's very, very good standard to start from. Number two is British Venture Capital Association. It's also a very good reference, but here in the region, I think leaning toward the National VCA. So I recommend to refer back to their website and download the templates from there.
Okay, thank you. The next question from Abdulaziz. He's asking for advice for the angel investors, how they should design the ticket size, the investing period or cycle, and the terms they should consider again in the contract for early exit. Now, I think the first advice for Abdulaziz to keep in mind is that VC or angel investment is for the long term, not for the short term, right?
Akid.
Yeah.
So, there is no early exit if it's a very good company and there is a secondary sales.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think we talk about this. We said that it's better to have at least 10 in your portfolio.
Diversify. Yeah.
If you have, let's say, 4 million or 5 million riyal, don't put them all in 1 year. Try to put in different years. Let's say 4 or 5 years. Each year you put 1 million or 500,000. Then you will have a portfolio. And after that, there is a pre-invest and there is after, which is post-invest. And when you invest the time, you give them time. And normally also investors, angel investor, when they invest in pre-seed, sometimes they follow and seed.
In the seed and Series A eventually.
And when it goes to the Series A, when venture capital comes, normally angels, they don't follow.
Yeah. Okay, the next question is asking from someone who doesn't want to reveal his name, but he's asking what do you see are the most and least saturated fields in Saudi and GCC VC space? I'm assuming the industries or sectors here he means. Omar, maybe. Technology definitely is saturated, I would say.
Yeah, so maybe the most obvious gap in the region is the financial services. So, but it needs a lot of work. It needs a lot of funding and also being careful when it comes to regulation. But it's a very, very huge gap. Most of the segments in the market, even in GCC, are underserved, and that creates a great opportunity for any entrepreneur. Other than that, there are plenty of growth happening, for example, in e-commerce, and that also creates great opportunity not to sell goods, but to support the infrastructure of the e-commerce. And we talk about, for example, here payment, let's say enabling of people to go online, like Sella, the one that we closed the round recently. Plenty of services that we can talk about here, facilities to e-commerces. The segment is very growing, is highly in growth stage, and anything that serves this segment will also grow organically. So this is also a very interesting area to think about. Education is an empty space. There are some very good startups in the region here, but still the gap is massive. Healthcare, the gap is massive. And I don't see that there are plenty of entrepreneurs who are working in those two segments. So yeah, I think the region has huge gap in technology, and maybe you can pick any sector and become very serious in it and very competent in it, and you will succeed, inshallah.
Okay, thank you. The next one from someone who looks like wants to become an entrepreneur is asking how the VC evaluates the financial package for the entrepreneur as CEO, and is it only keeping the living costs, or how usually do they price that compensation of the entrepreneur / CEO in setting up the deal between them? Faris, maybe this time. Oh, you're on mute, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, a founder and a CEO. Normally, founders, they don't get their salary as normal when he wants to hire as a CEO. But if he's a founder, he's supposed to take less than what he get and take more of the company because he's
equity.
He take equity more.
Mm-hmm.
And when we see as a VC, when we see the entrepreneur is putting less salary in his package, and that means he's believing in the company. But when we see him putting a normal package for him if he left the company, then what is it for us? How can we see is he's taking the risk like us or not? So be prepared to get 15,000 if you are getting 80,000.
Okay. Omar, anything to add, or shall we go to the next one?
Yeah. So what Faris is referring here is to very early stage. So when the person started his company, if that person succeeded to raise, for example, seed round, then maybe it's good to increase his salary a little bit so that he can let himself and his family breathe a little bit. And after that, if they close Series A, then the norm is between $80,000 and $120,000 a year, which is more or less 25,000 riyals to 30,000 riyals a month. And post Series A, pre-Series B, they can go to 150 if the company is on track to scale and to raise. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. The next one from the same Fadi. What are the sectors the Saudi VCs invest into? Saudi here only, not the region. I would say all sectors, right? Whenever there is a possibility, but I'll let Omar answer this one.
So because we are agnostic in terms of sectors, we usually wait for the entrepreneurs to pick their sectors. So, for example, we have a thesis. We know that, for example, fintech, edtech, and health technology and e-commerce enablers are very, very important and crucial areas to invest in, but we can't really engineer them. They should come from the ecosystem. So organically, we invested in one edtech, which is Noon Academy. We invested in, I think, one e-commerce, which is Golden Cent. We invested in about 6 or 7 logistics technology. This is organic, not because we have a logistics company, but it's really organic from the market. We invested in now in the new fund, we invested in 2 fintechs and 1 marketplace. Marketplaces are plenty. Marketplaces from all types. Marketplaces are really emerging very, very quickly. And we invested in several software companies, like Fodex is a software company, like Cell is a software company. They are a SaaS. We call them SaaS, which is software as a service. We invested in 1 gaming platform, which is Tamatam, out of Jordan. We invested in, so it's very agnostic. It's very diverse. And down the road, we anticipate more fintechs, but also we expect surprises, inshallah.
Great. We have the next one from Muhammad, who is a Saudi fresh grad from the Bay Area with minimum early experience. He wants an advice on how to work in VC. So what do you suggest to him? What to recommend?
Faris, Abdullah, go ahead. You like early stage?
Yeah, that's what I like. That's what I like.
Yeah.
That's what I can add to. I think working with VC, if you work with a startup company first, I think it's better than going direct to a VC. Because if you come to a VC fund coming from a startup company, you already know the culture, you already know how the startup, so you can work. So I recommend going direct to one of the startup. And alhamdulillah, today in Saudi Arabia, we have a lot of startup company. And if you are in the state, then I think you have plenty of them.
Yeah. Right. So we'll go for, so this is a question for Abu Ali saying, which is more important for investors, the founder's abilities or the addressable market?
Yeah, so this is very, very interesting question that can, if we can answer it, we can answer who is coming first, the egg or the chicken. But but it's not really answered this way. So whenever we invest in something, we invest in an equation. And this equation comes together. You can't segregate it. You can't say that I will remove X from Y. So it's an equation, and the equation comes usually sometimes or with higher value on the founders, and sometimes with the higher value on the product, sometimes with the higher value on model, and sometimes with time, and sometimes with technology, and sometimes with the market size. We can't say that it's one equation for all. And but definitely the founder is always in any equation has huge significant value in that equation. So founder is always there, market is always there, all of what I mentioned are there always, but it varies from situation to another when it comes to evaluating a specific deal.
Okay, thank you. So for the sake of time, we'll go to the next one, which is a technical question here saying the non-deductibility of VC funds in zakat-based calculation means investors are taxed early on, even before they get any returns. So do you think that might be a drag on growth as an asset class for corporate investors or not? I don't know if the question is clear, but
if I understand, I don't think there is. Normally, our companies there is no assets. Most of the capital is in the
directly invested. Yeah.
So I don't think we have a problem with zakat with the startup company today, but maybe we will have when these companies making a profit and its own 100% from Virgin company, then you will pay 20% of tax.
Yeah.
But when it comes, then we are in a good shape.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, next one for Abu Ali again, saying why scalable business attracts VCs more than profitable but classic industry, assuming both are innovative and have clever founders.
So nothing wrong with profitable versus value creation investment. There's no wrong or right here, but it depends on the business model. It depends on the financial model that investor here or investor there is forming. So when it comes to our investment, if we try to milk the companies early on, milk means try to start generating profit early on, then that will be on the cost of the value of this company in the very short period of time. So it's you need to decide from beginning why you are investing in this company. Are you investing to create value from the exit? Are you investing to generate income on a yearly basis, or are you creating a blend between return and value creation? For VC asset class, we are purely value investors. We don't really, even if there is profit, and many cases in our portfolio companies are generating crazy profit, but at the same time, 100% is re-injected and reinvested in growth. because the attempt of us and the founders at the same time is to create the maximum value out of the exit, and the exit comes in between 5 to 10 years. So it's not really. Let me give you an example. Kareem took them about 8 years, or 8 years maybe, to create $3.2 billion out of about $500 million of investment. This may not really be the case of if we put this 500 million investment. Maybe, I'm not saying that this is impossible, but maybe this is not the case if you put it in a income generating company. So we can't really create companies in this big scale by pouring this amount of money. We have plenty of examples. I can give you, for example, now in our portfolio, the Saudi companies in our portfolio are controlling about 20 billion riyals of money in a yearly basis, and especially from this year. 20 billion riyals. Do you know how much we invested in these companies? Not only us, all of these companies are, how much they raised? About $20 million or $25 million maximum. So 100 million riyals generated about 20 billion riyals of value in the last 3 years. And we are talking about 3 years only. It's crazy. It's very leveraged money. So because of this natural nature of technology that can leverage any company to scale, then usually the investor will think that, okay, as long as this is scalable, then let's scale it as fast as possible and generate the maximum return from the exit, rather than trying to milk it and try to generate profit, but much less than what I will expect from generating in the next few years from the exit. So it's an equation, and this is what VC has their mandate.
Okay, great. So we'll have one question from Ramzi from Dubai. So we are live in Dubai as well. So has 2 questions. So one is saying we are witnessing growing appetite for ESG investing over the last few years. So how is the scene in Saudi Arabia, and is there any preferential incentives to direct funds into this channel? And the second question, do we know if there is impact angels, and can we share their details? So ESG again is a fashionable topic in the recent years. So I don't know, Faris, if you want to start, or
what is ESG?
The sustainable. Let me Google it to give you the right things.
It's environmental, social, and governance.
And corporate governance, yeah.
And corporate governance.
Yeah. So to care more about environment, social, and impact investing in general, I think we already
normally the angel investor is he wants to have an impact.
Yeah.
But يعني environment and don't يعني impact of the community, yes.
Yeah.
And what we do يعني in Uqal with these years, with the investment of 60 million, we have more than 100,000 employees. They get employed. So this is very good to the economy, very good for. So if this is answer his question. Yeah.
Okay, Omar, anything to add?
Yeah, I agree with Faris. So it depends on the founder and investor at the moment. There is no incentive, particularly for this
that's the
level. There is no incentive from the government so far. So it relies heavily on the mandate of the investor and the founder.
Okay. Now, simpler question, saying, are the local investors in Saudi Arabia willing to invest in US-based startups or outside the kingdom, let's say, in general? And if yes, what is your advice for these investors? Again, Faris, maybe to start.
If I start as an angel investor, I never invest outside. Because normally angel investor, he wants to invest with the companies startup companies. He knows the country. He knows the regulation. He can help networking. But if I invest in America, I don't think I will add anything there.
Okay. Omar, anything?
Yeah,
Different
same.
view? Same.
Yani it's you will go to the Shark Tank there, which is very, very, very red ocean, and you want to compete with them in the best deals there. It will be very difficult unless you have great network there and you can really have access to great deals. Yes, but if not, then maybe it's better for you to double down in your region. It's already with a huge gap here.
Okay. Thank you. Question from Dia saying, what are the key man risk mitigation
For
strategies?
Mario reading these questions. It's is it?
Sorry,
oh yes. Sorry. I just saw it now.
The key man risk mitigation strategies that you put in place when you invest in startup. Faris, maybe to start again, if any. It's very difficult, but are there any strategies to advise?
We are in the risky business. So if we are going to put any risk, we are not going to invest. As Abu Ali said, the most risk that we don't invest in if there is a legal, political, or طبعا أكيد شريعة. So, but others, yes.
I think here. Sorry, the question was about the key man risk, meaning on the founder itself.
The
if
founder.
he decides to the founder or the founders, we have usually a very huge risk if that guy leaves the company, right? So I think that's what he means. So what are the mitigation strategies for that? I think there
is we put in the
shareholder agreement, I think.
And ESOP. So if he leaves the company, bad leaver or good leaver, it's different. If he do something bad to the company, then he will lose his equity. So we are putting this in the
shareholder agreement, and the advice was to go and look for the US and UK VC associations.
When we invest, we sit down with these founders because they are the most important. They are our shareholder. They are the one who will make it or break it. We need to make sure that we are investing with the right partner.
Yeah. Okay, so two folds. One is to have the right clauses in the shareholder agreement, and then the close follow-up and regular meetings to support the founders to mitigate that risk. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, just to add something here, key man clause is usually referred to fund managers, not to startups, and usually also it has a suspension of operations, so you can't really continue operations until the key man issue is resolved. But this is what Abu Abdullah is mentioning here is founders vesting and founder lockup period, which is not really related to the activity of the company, but it's toward the shares of the founders. And the logic here is that as long as we are relying heavily on this founder to run this company and the founder is no more there, then we have the right as investors to retain back these unvested shares and reallocate it to another founder. Because usually it's not really returning back to the pockets of the investors, because investors, there is no really great value of a company without founders. So we need the investors need to find another founder to reallocate these shares to them, or to him, or to her.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. So the next one from Abdul Aziz again, asking Abu Ali again about statistics, if any, about the failure of investments among VCs in local companies so far. I think partly the answer would be to look at the Saudi VC website, or you said a lot of research is there, no?
Yeah, too very early, yes. Well, very early to say what are the statistics, but globally, it's if you are a Series A investor, and if you invest in 10 companies, then maybe 5 of them will fail 100%. 3 of them will generate mediocre returns, and 2 or 1 of them will generate outlier returns. This is maybe the ratios that Series A investors have globally, or in more mature market.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. The last one from the same Saudi fresh grad. He's saying, I have worked with fintech startup and currently working at corporate bank, but I'm more interested in the investment side. So what else can he do? And this is the closing question for us.
Send your CV to Abu Ali.
or to you.
To both والله صراحة الله يعطيك العافية.
لا أكيد.
Okay.
Yes, of course. يعني I think it's good if you work with Tamara. Tamara is very good startup. We just started. Then, as I said, maybe it's time to, if you have a good experience, to go to other VCs. يعني Derayah Venture or Riot Venture or other VC.
Okay, great. Thank you very, very, very much again, Abu Abdullah, Abu Ali, for this very interesting and passionate discussion. I hope all the attendees enjoyed it, like we enjoyed it. And looking forward to see the angel investment and VC and entrepreneurship in general ecosystem growing more and more to help the economy and to help the country succeed. I don't know if you have any closing remarks or anything to add, Abu Omar, Abu Ali, Abu Abdullah. Otherwise,
أبو عبد الله تفضل.
والله يعني the last thing I would like to say, thank you very much, Tahir. It was a nice evening.
Our pleasure.
Thank you, Abu Ali, and hope that all the audience they liked it, and inshallah we can see you face to face, not through Zoom.
Very soon, inshallah.
So we started 32 and now 14. So I told you it's a very boring topic. We need to be very passionate about it to continue the 1 hour and a half. But thank you so much, Tahir. Thank you very much, Abdullah, for this invitation. I don't know if Abdullah is here or not.
He's here. He's here.
He's here. Thank you so much, Abdullah, for the invitation. I really appreciate that. And thank you, Bassam Al-Aujan, for also invitation. And Tahir, of course, you were very great and lovely in this panel. So thank you so much, and have a good night for all of you, inshallah.
Thank you. يعطيكم العافية. نشوفكم على خير إن شاء الله.
السلام عليكم.
طيب مع السلامة.